Now, if you fail to put in the skill and action to practice looking at what's causing you to get off of the track, you can guarantee that that cycle is going to repeat forever until some drastic lesson forces you to realize. We don't want to go there, but it may happen if you don't look at it. And I'd prefer to give you this today and shorten the period it takes to stay on the track and learn to recognize the things that send you off. Welcome back to the UNCGD Podcast. I'm Andy. This is episode 17, where we're going to talk about the cycles of having to learn a lesson over and over and over again before we can even change. So let's dissect that a little bit. And hopefully, if you're going through something that you seem to just constantly repeat and you prefer not to do that, this is going to be for you. Let's get it. Why do we seem to always fall off the track and have to learn a lesson more than once, over and over and over again, and we're just getting more bogged down by these failures before we even finally come to the conclusion that we probably should change so we don't have to repeat the same lesson. Now, normally within this process of why we're constantly repeating the same lessons is because we're not taking ownership of something that we're doing, and we're constantly avoiding the truth and the matter of fact that there's a reason why we keep going back and either sabotaging ourselves and our progress, or we're just looking for a way to numb some kind of pain, a truth, like I said before, and this can cause a vicious spiral downhill, and then you're not going to be able to progress past that point. And then what happens next? You will constantly have to relearn the lesson until you go, shit, man, apparently this thing that I thought would work for me doesn't work for me anymore because I'm not progressing. But it took a couple of times before I even realized that, shit, I gotta make a change. Now, I'll say this as well. It is okay to fall off the track when you're on your way to bettering yourself or whatever it may be for you. It is okay. But it is not okay to stay off. If I fall off anything of a track that I'm walking on towards a goal, I'm going to get back on as soon as I can. I don't want to stay off of the track and not making progression. I want to be back on there doing the work. And if I fall off, I'm going to get back on as fast as I can. But staying off and starting to dwell in that it's not for me or I'm not good enough for it, that is like a breeding ground for negativity and becoming more of a victim of why you couldn't do this thing. Where did you forget? Everyone has the same opportunity, but not everybody gets back on the track once they fall off. Failure is part of the whole process anyway. But if you're going to be bitter, if you're going to be pissed off, if you're going to be a victim to circumstance and take it out on all of the people around you because you fell off and stayed off, man, that's where you got to look in the mirror and point a finger at yourself going, what am I not looking at? What am I not taking ownership of when it comes to the actions I'm choosing and the attitude I'm holding throughout the day? These are things that we can fix pretty quick. All you got to do is go inward and look at it and go, man, I'm avoiding these things. I'm going to look at it for a bit and go, shit, man, I'm doing that. I need to stop this now so I can get back on the track, doing the work that I would prefer to be doing and not sabotaging myself by staying off of this track and feeling guilty and disappointed and filled with shame because I'm just not good enough, or whatever story you start to buy into because you're in the position where the breeding ground is of the victim. It's a bit of a mouthful there, but it is the truth. The scariest thing for me is that I stay off the track and I begin wiring in the habits to become a victim to a circumstance I had control over. I had control over the whole time. That's my biggest fear. I don't want to stay off the track and then start to feel guilty and shameful and disappointed and angry, frustrated with myself. And then unconsciously I start being that way and I'm not my positive, energized, full of life self. I want to get on that track and use all that energy and build it. I don't want to stay off and let my biggest fear become a reality. I need to catch myself, and that's what I do, and that's what I want for you to do if you seem to constantly repeat the cycle of staying off and then going, "Ugh." It's this big, long-winded process to get back on the track. You can get back on straight away, even if you're like, damn, I fell off the track again. Don't beat yourself up, just recognize it. And the more you get back on the track, the more you get back on the path of your goals of what you want to do, the shorter the period is that you stay off, because you're just going to keep getting on, and then you're going to start to get off less. You're going to not fall off as much, because you're going to start to recognize the signs as to why you fell off in the first place. And this is my next point. To lessen the likelihood that we fall off the track towards our goals or bettering ourselves, whatever it is for you, we first need to recognize what's triggering us to fall off anyway. We need to recognize why we're giving in to something along the way, whether it be a failure, a change of direction, an obstacle, a challenge, or something that's too hard, or whatever it may be. We need to recognize what's sending us in a direction where we don't want to be. Now, if you fail to put in the skill and action to practice looking at what's causing you to get off of the track, you can guarantee that that cycle is going to repeat forever until some drastic lesson forces you to realize. We don't want to go there, but it may happen if you don't look at it. And I prefer to give you this today and shorten the period it takes to stay on the track and learn to recognize the things that send you off. Now, I'm doing this in hopes that you can do that to build the habit to have an awareness, that you can have a bit of an idea of the things that make you go off the track. And then you can also spot things that start to bring up that feeling that make you want to go off the track. Try and stay with me here. I know this is a lot, but it's not as complex as it sounds. If you can just focus on self-awareness within these processes, you can stop the vicious cycle of falling off the track and staying there. We can get on the track, stay there, do the work. If you don't know by now, I'm all about building good habits and getting rid of the ones that do not serve us and keep us at bay without progression. And this is another factor of that. This is something that we need to fully enforce within ourselves so that we can have that protective self-awareness to spot the things that are causing us to falter and maybe have an ego trigger that make us get frustrated and angry and then just spiral into that old victimhood mindset of self-sabotage and anger, frustration in a prolonged sense. So we're going to start to wire in this practice of keeping an awareness along the way so that you don't have to deal with that. Now, if you are off and you're constantly in that zone and you're watching this right now, you already know how it feels to not be on the goal path. You already know that it's not what you prefer. You're feeling crap and drained, and that makes you pissed off and angry. And then you end up taking it out on everyone else around you. That is not what we want. That is not what we want. Whether you do this consciously or subconsciously, either way, it is draining you of your energy and life force, and we need to boost that up. We don't need to pull the plug of the bath and let it slowly empty until what? Burnout. And you get sick, and then it deepens your victimhood. Going on a bit of a rant here, but it's pretty valid when it comes to this aspect. Now, if I don't give this metaphorical kick up the butt, these things take a while to change otherwise. But if I can give you the secret, which is to catch yourself and care enough that you watch yourself and you have your own back so that you don't have to go and stay off and feel crap. You can get sick of that you get sick of it pretty quick. And then you've got a fork in the road. Get back on the track and just go, knowing and trusting that if you fall off, you're going to get back on. It's that simple. Just don't stay off. Staying off is you're just giving up. And that is not a nurturing factor to your betterment. So we need to boost ourselves, care enough, and feel trusting in our ability to practice these habits, and we can stay on the track. The ultimate level of self-love is to catch yourself in the act, doing the things that do not serve you and replacing it with the things that do serve you and boost you as a person. So I'm all about that when it comes to self-love. Kick your own ass. I believe we need to kick our ass. There's no sugarcoating this. Sometimes we need to have that mental grit to push through discomfort physically and mentally. It's not just like grinding it out in the gym. We need to do this also mentally, because when we're facing negative emotion, that negative emotion is going to be just as hard as physical grind, if not harder, because you can only feel it. You can't smash your way out of it. You have to force discipline, grit, and holding a vision of the future that magnetizes that direction so you can be pulled towards it. Then that way, the more you do it, you wire the habit of doing it. Then that gains a trust, a confidence, courage, and a fearlessness sense so that you can trust the whole way and back yourself. So I hope this rant has helped you maybe recognize something in your life that you seem to loop over and over again and you avoid getting back on a path. This is my message to you, to get back on and to not quit. Keep pushing through and let's keep progressing, because that's what this is all about. Thank you for listening. Episode 17, short and sweet. I'll see you on number 18. Catch you later.